Welcome to the Schuh Show. That's Rob Schuh. I'm Grant Cohn. Sorry I'm late. The traffic on the commute was a little worse than usual today, but we made it. The title of the show is Finding Trey Lance's Backup. Who's going to replace Jimmy Garoppolo? That allowed me to get Jimmy Garoppolo into the title, essentially. So we're going to start. We're not going to start there, but we're going to get there quick. We want to start with, is it fair to have Super Bowl aspirations heading into this next season, given that there's a big time quarterback switch happening to someone who's played 3.5 games the last 2 years, and there could be a big time roster overhaul? What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, first time on since the end of the season. Just want to say that I'm grateful for the way in which this thing played out. It was obviously a heart-wrenching loss. I was there in Los Angeles in the stands. Was talking to Jack Hammer, who's going to be on my program later today at 3 p.m. He was there as well. I know you couldn't be there, but you were there in spirit. And so I've been processing this week. And this topic feels like more of that. Like, let's look forward. Let's look forward to 2022. Let's get past 2021 and any pain that's associated with that memory, and let's look forward. When you consider, is it fair to say the 49ers should have Super Bowl aspirations for 2022? For me, you have to look at the complete picture, and the complete picture starts with a roster that is very uncertain at this point. You have 31 players under contract, and that includes Jimmy Garoppolo. You have a 21-year-old quarterback with very limited experience who unfortunately didn't get very many reps in the 2021 season. I think the core of this team is good enough to have Super Bowl aspirations. But to me, it's too incomplete of a picture at this point to fairly attribute a Super Bowl roster to the San Francisco 49ers. To me, it's going to be highly dependent upon all these other topics that we hit today and what the 49ers do.
I think they better have Super Bowl aspirations. It seems to me that getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo is because you can't win the big one with him. That's what you've decided. He came up small in those 2 fourth quarters, but you got real far. And to me, like, the Niners are just the Rams, but 2 years later. The Rams had a lot of success with Jared Goff. And it was kind of controversial to move on because he won a lot of games under Sean McVay. But they decided they're not going to win the big one with him. And they brought in another dude who had a ton of pressure. And the idea was, hey, Matthew, like, you've had a great career, but you need to win the Super Bowl. That's the expectation. We're getting rid of a guy who came close. You got to win it. And if he doesn't, that'll be disappointing. I think Trey Lance, while it may not be fair, that's the expectation. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Jimmy Garoppolo's skill set or what he does or doesn't do. The team got X amount of farness, got this far with him. And now, there are aspirations of the Super Bowl. I don't know I think, look, as long as they have Deebo Samuel in his prime and a lot of these other players, they should probably be considered contenders.
So let me rephrase the question a little bit for you, because I think you're right. When you put it that way, the 49ers need to be vying for a Super Bowl, right? That has to be the end goal. In rephrasing it, for the 49er faithful that are listening right now, for those that may or may not have patience for the young gentleman who's going to be stepping in at quarterback, should they expect a Super Bowl caliber team, or will they be disappointed if they set their expectations that high?
Well, hold on, let me put it. I'm usually like the negative one, right? Saying the Niners aren't as good as you think they're going to be for these reasons. Well, I'm the guy that's been saying all year that their best quarterback's been on the bench.
Yeah.
That they're winning in spite of their starter, that they could be even better if Trey. I was saying this all year.
You've been very clear on that.
I'm going to stick with that. I think this team's going to be better next year. I think they're going to go farther next year. I think they should be in the Super Bowl right now with Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's on Kyle, that he didn't get Deebo more than one touch in the fourth quarter. He's going to have to live with that. They should be in the Super Bowl right now. They should be in it next year. I have very high expectations for Trey and this team. Yes, I do. And I don't root for the team. And I'm usually the one being like, it's the Niners. Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah. To me, again, it's just an incomplete. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have those expectations. I just have to hold off a little bit until I figure out how they fill out the rest of that roster.
Yeah, I'm not getting my emotions into it. I just think he's going to be good. If I'm wrong, then oh well. Really, the Niners are wrong, not me. I can just move on with my life. I don't get fired.
No. Amazingly.
Amazingly. It's the best part of YouTube. All right. So yeah, aspire for the stars. Let's talk about what's really going to make the difference on their Super Bowl run. Backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback. Jimmy's going to be gone most likely. And we're going to
Ye-
talk about the logistics of that, but they're going to have to bring in, I think, another quarterback. And that's interesting. Well, how do you go about that? What would you like them to do at that very important position?
It is a critical position. And my initial thought is that you can't possibly go into the season with Nate Sudfeld as your backup, right? Like you can't. You can't. Can you?
No.
I didn't think so. I mean, the Niners positioned it in such a way that maybe they believe it. They brought him up from the practice squad as sort of that reward, right? He got a game check week 18. That was a big boost in pay. And people have intimated that perhaps that was because they intend on keeping him as the backup, a little gift to Nate Sudfeld to let him know he was valued, to let him know he was appreciated, to let him know that they want him back. To me, that would be a terrible strategy to go in with Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld backing him up, because you know that there's at least a distinct possibility that the backup quarterback ends up playing a couple games, right? I mean, after week 5, if Trey had been the starter, we would have been back to whoever was the backup for a couple of weeks with that knee injury.
Yeah. Look, I love the conspiracy theory with Sudfeld. They did give him a game check. That's a big deal for him. I think it was basically a thank you.
Right.
You know, you probably could be on an NFL roster collecting game checks as a backup, but you decided to be on our practice squad, which is you get no money for that.
Yep.
And so here's thank you. I don't think that means he's going to be their number 2 quarterback next year. Because here's the thing. There's no evidence you can win football games with Nate Sudfeld. He may be great in practice or in the meeting room. He's probably phenomenal in the meeting room. But the whole thing with Lance, he's going to run. He might miss a few games. He hurt his knee this year. He hurt his finger this year.
Yes.
You need someone that you can feel confident can win some 2 or 3 games when needed with a team that is very, very good. Debo, all these players. So I guess it doesn't really matter. As long as you feel confident you can win some games with the guy, that's who you want. And it's not Nate Sudfeld. He's there to help in the meeting room.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he's capable of tanking a game. We know that for a fact.
Other thing is, I saw Steve Young saying the Niners need to bring in a vet who can like sort of help Trey Lance in the meeting rooms. Any vet is going to know, Trey's going to know the offense better than any vet. Any vet's going to be, hey, Trey, what's this? Can you tell me about this? And Trey's going to be like, can I focus on? I'm just saying, like, that's what Sudfeld is there for. Sudfeld's almost, he's a vet. He's 28. He knows the offense as well as Trey does. There's no one else you can bring in who knows it better unless you keep Jimmy. And I don't even know how well Jimmy knows the offense. So I think to me, you just, if it's anyone who can win some games with you, if it's someone who has Trey's skill set, great. If he doesn't, but you can win with him, great. Like Colt McCoy seems like he'd be fine. I don't know how expensive he'll be, but
that's the interesting piece for me. The 49ers are very much a cash-strapped team. They have 31 players under contract. We're going to get to all that in just a minute. But if you look at the quality backups in the NFL, when you look at the incentive-laden deals that they've gotten, the 2 candidates that I think I would point to as more experienced, capable backups that could step in and certainly win you some games, Tyrod Taylor, Andy Dalton. If you look at both of their contracts, Tyrod Taylor got a $12.5 million contract, very incentive laden. His base salary was about half that. Andy Dalton, roughly a $10 million base salary, up to $13 million with incentives. I just don't know that the Niners have that kind of cash to spend on a backup quarterback. But if I could, I would plug in Tyrod Taylor. You have someone who is, an NFL vet, a leader in a locker room, a veteran presence, and is, a mobile quarterback that is similar in that way to Trey Lance.
Yeah, there's him. There's also Cam Newton as Dustin the Gale, probably goes to St. Mary, says, I'm actually cool with Cam Newton. The thing with Cam is, what does he want to do? Cam's been so proud. He wants to be a starter. He wants to okay, man, well, if you're over that and you're down to sort of like do what Jameis Winston did and kind of just take a step back and regroup the pieces of your career, that'd be a great place to do it. You could back up a quarterback who could learn for you, probably looked up to you as a kid, probably, and you'd be on a hell of a team that really is good at carrying quarterbacks. I mean, I don't know what Cam Newton wants to do, but if he buys in, I'd be into that for sure.
That's the
Tyrod
key.
Taylor's cool too. Yeah.
He would need to want to do that because he's been very clear about wanting to be the face of a franchise, wanting to be the starting quarterback, and acting in a way of someone who very clearly wants to be the starter, and that could be a problem. Right.
I respect that. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He believes in himself.
Absolutely.
But that's not what the Niners need as a backup.
No.
You know, Jameis Winston was a really good backup for Drew Brees, just kind of chilling and saying, I just want to learn. I want to get my career together. If Cam wants to do that, he'd be perfect. But I think there are good options, and I don't think the Niners need to spend a lot of money on this spot. There's good options. Colt McCoy is a good option if all else fails.
Right. It'll be interesting to see if they target someone and go out immediately after them and pay a slightly higher market value, or if they wait and let other teams establish value and then look for that bargain towards the end of free agency.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, Colt McCoy is not going to play the way Trey Lance plays, but he could operate the offense the way Jimmy did. Very similar. So,
yes.
It's an option. Yeah.
And there are a lot of vets out there like Colt McCoy.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't need to spend a second or third round pick on a quarterback. I don't think that would really help, having another young guy who's learning the offense and isn't ready to play.
No, that seems like a problem waiting to happen.
Yeah, I think so. James Hennessy says RG3 backup quarterback. He has looked washed to me for about 10 years. I don't know, man. I don't think so.
And I don't think he likes the Shanahan family all that much.
No. And when I say washed, he looks slow. He hasn't looked athletic in a very long time, which is a problem. I'd rather have that Huntley guy from Baltimore who came in and he was good. Is he? I don't know. I got to look that.
That would have to be a trade.
Backup quarterback list: Tyrod Taylor, Fitz, McCoy, Keenum, Dalton. I would not bring Mitch because he's probably trying to go somewhere he can play. But
Keenum is an interesting name.
Certainly.
He's capable of winning a couple of games.
Nick Mullins? Probably not. Probably not. No, the fan base, I think the fan base in the locker room pretty much rejected him.
Yeah, certainly the fan base.
If Mitch can't find a better job and he wants to do another 1 year study abroad program, come to the Niners, man. Absolutely. He's a good back. He's one of the better backups you could get.
You've got upside with that. There are very few of these vets that have upside. Most of them, you're bringing them in because they are very clearly backups, and they're okay with that.
Yeah, he started a playoff game. I don't think Colt McCoy has. I don't think. And this team is, probably going to be in the playoffs. With third place schedule, we should be 12-5. Boom. Yeah. They were 10-7 last year with their backup quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop doing things like that. It's not fair. He's gone.
It's not. Jimmy deserves respect.
He does. Definitely
Definitely
going to need him. I don't know about that, man. He's got a real messed up knee. I wouldn't hold my breath.
No, expectations should be low, but he did, and this is me trying to spin it to the positive, he did go to the same surgeon that Nick Bosa had do his knee. So maybe it really was just a bad procedure, and now it's cleaned up, and he's going to be the monster we all wanted him to be. But yeah, I don't think we should get our expectations up.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that he went to Nick Bosa's guy, but it's not the same injury.
Nope.
It's not. Keenum is what Nick Mullins wishes he could be. They're very similar. Undrafted free agents are about. Yeah, I mean, you guys are being real hard on Nick Mullins. Why do people still hold a grudge on Nick Mullins?
I don't know. I feel like we shouldn't have a grudge against him.
I mean, he played mop-up duty last season. I don't want to do the Nick Mullins thing. For a long time with when Debo was out and a lot of players were out. And then he got hurt. And he had to play. He had to, not, battle back and not have Tommy John. I saw him play one game with the Browns this year when everyone got COVID. I thought he was decent. I don't know.
Decent, yeah.
I thought he was decent. I mean, he's going to stay in the league for a little bit. Keenum. All right, let's move on. Should the Niners be concerned about potentially losing Mike McDaniel, their offensive coordinator, who's the front runner to get the Dolphins job, which is the job everyone wants?
Yeah, because it's such a successfully run organization. God.
All you got to do is watch Ace Ventura. It's been no different. I'm just saying.
Classic.
They pretty much exposed all of the dark underbelly of that organization in 1995. But anyway.
I remember distinctly going to see Ace Ventura in the theaters at whatever that was in Mountain View, the 12 Cinema place in Mountain View. That was a fantastic movie.
It was great.
The Dolphins. I mean, God, I hope he walks away from that one. But my question to you before we get into this is I'm interested to hear your thoughts on what the loss of McDaniels may actually do to impact the offense before we talk about possible replacements and what it might look like and who you might look to bring in? How do you think it would impact the offense with his imprint all over the run game?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out what his imprint was, right? I mean, the 49ers run game has become so intricate and excellent. It's like up until the last two playoff games, it was the run game where you knew it was coming and the quarterback isn't even involved. It's 10 on 11 and you can't stop it. And it's like, how are they doing this? Well, you got this genius. Well, we'll see. I mean, if you look at their yards per attempt the last 5 years, they're pretty middle of the road. It might be a little romanticized, like how good the scheme. I don't know. I'm just saying.
The other question I have is whether simplification could be good for this offense, right? I mean, you look at the difference between the 49ers and the Rams. The 49ers are a very complicated offense. The movement schemes pre-snap are ridiculous, and that's the same in the run game. And as pressure builds in a game, in particular the fourth quarter of clutch games, to have a more complicated offense may not necessarily be a good thing.
True. That's a really good point. But here's one more thing. They had to get so intricate in the run game. They had to lean on the run game so much. He became so important. Why? Because of the quarterback. Because they decided that he had a limitation. They didn't want to throw a lot. They wanted to take the ball out of his hands, be run first team. Okay, well, now you need Mike McDaniel to be a genius. But that's over. That's over with. If teams want to load the box and stack the box, the Niners are going to be quite happy to do play action with Trey Lance, unlike with Jimmy. So it's going to be a whole different thing. And I think they probably won't need a run game genius. I mean, Kyle knows what he's doing. His dad is still alive. Bobby Turner's there. I mean, I think they'll be okay. My question really is, how's Mike McDaniel going to do without Kyle? He's still smart, but it's kind of like he's like the geeky kid who has the really popular kid being like, "Hey, this is my best friend. You got to take this guy seriously." And everyone's like, "Okay." But once you're off on your own someplace else, like if you don't have Kyle vouching for you like that, remember what Brandon Ayuk said about Mike McDaniel? He was like, "Yeah, I didn't get that guy at all my rookie year. I didn't understand if he was trying to be funny or what. But now I get him. He's cool." Like, I'm just saying, a new team that doesn't have Kyle there might be like, "Whoa, man!" I'm a little curious to see how Mike does on his own.
It will, I think, this is my prediction, it will greatly depend on how the team starts because that awkwardness will be charming if they're winning, right?
Yes.
If somehow they get off to a great start and they accrue some wins and it looks like, oh, there's something here, then it's like, well, he's our lovable genius. But if it goes badly,
that's not going to happen if he goes to Miami.
Right. If it goes badly, as you might predict that it would in Miami, it will be like, oh, we're losing. And this dude's weird. This dude's weird. Awkward.
And you know what? He never called plays in his life. And now he's a head coach. And maybe it was Kyle and Debo and all these other people. And who is this guy? I mean, that could happen real fast. So I think the Niners will be okay without Mike Daniel. They're okay without Saleh. They're okay without LaFleur, who they lost. I'm more concerned. I'm not really concerned. I'm more curious about Mike McDaniel. And it's another reason maybe you shouldn't go to the Dolphins just yet. It's not like that's a can't miss. You gotta work with Tua. Good luck.
Right. People always say, well, there's only 32 jobs in the league. So if you get offered one, you take it. But I think you also have to consider that you often only get one bite at the apple. And if you choose the wrong organization, then that's a rotten apple that you're biting into. And people
got no chance.
Right, no chance. That's it. You've just sacrificed your head coaching career because you bit too early, right?
Yeah, maybe you got $25 million, but you got fired also in 3 years, and then you never look at Vance Joseph, excellent young defensive coordinator, took the first job that came his way. It wasn't a good job. Will he ever get another chance? Who knows? Hell of a DC though.
Right.
I mean, ask Kyle about him. Beat him twice this year. Anyway, yeah, good point.
It's tough. There are people looking at now, evaluating companies that they want to work at on a level that they never have before. I mean, you can speak to this, right? You are self-employed. You now love what you do. I don't think you would trade what you do for a higher salary that worked for a corporation where they would tell you what to do, tell you how to dress, tell you what to say. I don't think you would give that up. People are seeing the value in that and trading dollars for happiness. And most people who do that don't regret the decision.
That's right. Mike, think about it, man. I don't know if that's what you want. GTA 6 confirmed. Really? I haven't played GTA since San Andreas. That was a great game.
That would be the last one I tried.
The best thing about those games, I thought, were the soundtracks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Vice City with all the 80s music. I learned a lot about 80s music through Vice City. And then San Andreas too with the early. I mean, it was great. Really great. Do they still do that? Do they still do that? Do they?
I don't know. I don't play video games much anymore.
I don't really play video games anymore. Why not Andy Dalton? He's fine. He might be a little more expensive. I mean,
that's the only question. Yeah.
He's a fringe starter. You might not be able to get him. But
if you've got like $25 million to sign 23 players, you can't necessarily allocate 10 to Andy Dalton.
No, I wouldn't do that. Brian Hoyer, vet sheep, no scheme. Who says no? I say no. Hell no. Brian Hoyer? What's the point? That's Sudfeld. Brian Hoyer's not going to win you a game.
No.
He's just there to, like, be a caddy and tell you what to do in the meeting room. No. That's Sudfeld. Sudfeld's the caddy.
Yeah, that seems like an expensive choice for a mediocre quality candidate.
This is random, but if you're going to pay 20 plus mil for a wide receiver, why would you not go after Devontae Adams instead of Debo?
Interesting. I mean, to me, the answer is Debo's the heart of the team, and you've got to reward that. You can only yank the heart out of the chest so many times before you damage the franchise. You did it once with DeForest Buckner. You played with fire. To do it again, I don't know if players trust you after that.
Yeah. Devontae Adams also 29. Debo is 26. I don't know.
But Devontae's from Palo Alto, and when we get better as we age, that's just the facts of it, Grant. So,
they're both great. I would probably stick with the guy who's already on the team and 3 years younger. But I hear it's very interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I forget that he's available and that people want him. But why not both? Both? How about both? No?
That would be fantastic.
That would be great. Funny thing about Kyle, he said DeMeco is a star, will be a head coach. He didn't say the same thing about McDaniel. Ouch. Kyle, we need our Mike Jones homie. Yeah, I look, I mean, I don't think Kyle wants to say something and be proven wrong. I mean, if Mike McDaniel wants to bounce after 1 year and get the first opportunity that comes his way, sure. But Kyle's not going to call his shot and make a prediction. That's interesting.
I would say McDaniel is his boy, and so I just don't know that he feels the same obligation to talk him up. Not that he's being in any way dishonest about DeMeco, because I think that he is a head coaching candidate, but I don't know that he would feel the same need to say something nice about McDaniel. I'm sure McDaniel knows exactly how Kyle feels about him.
But it's just so it's just so obvious that DeMeco is a natural leader.
Yes,
yeah, he's like
a true leader of men.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the team captain, middle linebacker type. I mean, it's no question. Mike, that's the question. That is the question.
Can he command a locker room?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's one more. Hold on. Should the Niners flirt with an Armstead trade? Some games he's good. Other he's nowhere to be found. Well, that is interesting. We're going to talk about potential trades later. How about that? Let me think about that, because I hadn't thought about that. But we have a whole topic on that. In fact, let's get to our next topic. With DeMeco, this guy did what we say McDaniel should do with the Dolphins. DeMeco turned down the Vikings. We thought it was because Harbaugh's going to go there. No, they took basically the Mike McDaniel of the Rams, Kevin O'Connell, some offensive coordinator who doesn't call plays. That's who they hired. And DeMeco came back. He's got unfinished business. What do you think?
I respect the hell out of this decision for many reasons. The first being just finishing your training, right? If you go back to Luke Skywalker and Yoda, right? That's what this feels like. Is he left? If you went to Minnesota, it would be leaving early before your training's complete. It's dangerous. Whereas coming back sends a message that I'm not done developing myself. I'm not where I want to be before I take that shot at a head coaching position. To me, it speaks to personal confidence. Confidence in his ability to continue producing as a defensive coordinator. Confidence that he will absolutely get another shot at being a head coach. And then the second part to me is the message it sends to the players. Like, we didn't get to where we wanted to be, and I'm not done with you guys yet. Like, we are a unit, we are together, and we are going to achieve that Super Bowl victory as one. And it sends that message of not being happy with the end of 2021.
I love that. And I hope that's all that it is. But to me, it's probably more than that. I think it's most likely he found out that he wasn't going to get that job and they were more interested in
Mm.
someone else, maybe the guy they hired, and that he was probably going to be put in this Brian Flores sham interview situation. He already had one. And you know what? If that's the case, I salute him too for not going any further with that. You don't need to do that. You are going to be a head coach and you don't have to help the Vikings, break the rules or whatever they did. I don't know what they did, but I'm glad there's a lot of layers to this, and I respect D'Amico on all of them. In terms of this coming back to the 49ers and finishing what you started, he was expected to have a really good defense. There was a top 5 defense without Bosa the year before. He got Bosa back, and by the end of the season, it felt like the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
But it broke down the fourth quarter of the NFC
did.
Championship game, just like Salas did in the Super Bowl. So I guess in that sense, he does have unfinished business. And if the Niners win the Super Bowl next year, which they certainly could, then he'll have his pick of jobs.
Most definitely. And I do think that there were points in the season where the 49ers defense could not get off the field on third down. They were great on first and second. They would set up the ideal third down to get off the field and then just be incapable of executing on a third and long assignment. And that's pretty wild, to be such a great defense, but unable to close, unable to finish. And that's what bit him in the ass against the Rams, for sure.
It's true. So it'll be interesting to see if he can grow on his third and longs or if the Niners can maybe give him some better DBs. Both could help.
Most definitely.
What do you think about making Mariota Lance's backup? He's cheap and available. I like Mariota, but he seems like he plays 5 plays and then he gets hurt. I don't know. It's good.
I also don't know how cheap he actually is going to be. I feel like teams are pretty interested in Marcus Mariota because of the upside.
Yeah, he's trying to revive his career and get back as a starter somewhere. Can we please not complicate things to go after A-Rod? Both him and the Niners can't win. Why not join forces? Trey Lance can learn from A-Rod. I don't see it. The Niners traded all their first-round picks. Isn't it hard to make that? How do you trade for A-Rod? Traded for Lance.
So hard to do. So I had my call-in show on the channel last night, and one of the call-in folks, Sean, was just adamant about this, and he presents a pretty interesting case for it. I just can't see it because of the idea that it would be such a detrimental move for the Packers organization if it worked out for the Niners, right? If they agreed to it, he goes to San Francisco and then wins some championships, the Packers would have so much egg on their face, it would be a complete meltdown. So I can't even imagine the Packers trading him within the NFC. But then to your point, what assets other than an unproven Lance at this point can you send?
Right. I mean, if Lance cost 3 firsts and a third, then what's Aaron Rodgers going to cost? You can't compare them. He would cost more. I don't understand how you would do that. Seems to me you already picked a quarterback. And there's no going back. There's no going back. So why don't you just give the kid a chance? I mean, I don't like Rodgers. There's something I really unlikable about him. I don't really want to cover him. I just don't. I don't know. No on Rodgers. Not a fan. And I don't even know why. Maybe it's his face. General attitude towards life. All right. The Niners off-season schedule. Should we run through it real quick so people know what they can look forward to?
Yeah, most definitely. As with the Matthew Stafford news that broke last year about this time, I think the first thing that's going to come out is Jimmy Garoppolo. Whether that is news about his surgery and therefore then we expect that maybe it gets pushed back a couple of weeks, but sooner rather than later, I believe we will find out what that trade destination will be. Now, it can't become official at that time, but it'll be the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is going to be the trade. This is going to be the deal that Jimmy signs with the new team. Everything will get worked out. It just won't be written down on paper and inked quite yet.
Yeah. Correct.
Then we've got the combine that happens the first week of March, right? That will be a ton of great coverage.
They didn't have a combine last year, did they? No, that was pre-vaccine. They did not.
Yeah,
so return
we'll
to the combine.
Back to the underwear Olympics, baby. Yes. It's on.
NFL Network, baby, where you have all those people talking in hushed tones like it's golf. Oh, look at that guy run.
And now we have the next defensive back.
Wow, he's from North Dakota. So he timed in the 4.4s. They're really optimistic about how he's gonna show out here today. Love that. Love that. Ooh,
it's epic coverage.
Is Mayock gonna be back too? Because he got fired. He could do it. Nah,
Mayock is coming back?
I don't know. He got fired. He's available. What's he doing? I'm just saying. Okay, so we got the combine.
Then we head into free agency. We get that legal tampering window, the 14th to the 16th, where it's like, you can't do anything yet, but go ahead. Just, talk to each other,
you can break
work
the
it
rules.
out.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's legal to be illegal right now.
Why not just move free agency up to the 4th? Like, why does there need to be this legal tampering window? Why couldn't that just be the start of free agency?
It sounds so good, and I love it.
It does. It's like, we're going to cheat on the teams that we're with for a little bit, so it's going to be pretty exciting. It's like secret. You can't know about it, but we're giving you an inside look.
It's like making the offseason a little bit more exciting, and I love it.
The NFL understands how to tease fans on a level that is just unbelievable.
They could do so much better, though. They could do such a better job if they forced every team to do a Hard Knocks, forced every team to broadcast their training camps. Every team should have to do that. Every team. Why not?
It's only a matter of time.
You could sell so much. You could get so much money in ad revenue from that.
Oh, my God.
I don't know what they're doing.
Because you could sell a subscription service to your team, right? Team of choice, and you would pay per team to get that inside coverage. It would be huge.
And it would be a level playing field because every team would have to do it. You want more coverage, not less coverage. The NFL is silly. But anyway, and that allows me after practices to sit down and be like, this is what happened. And I profit because the NFL won't actually broadcast their own stuff and make money from their own stuff. So I get the money. It's really stupid. Anyway, that's
not that you want that to change. Though.
Not that I want that to change. Yeah.
So we have the free
1920s, and I'm just like, it's like those radio shows like Dragnet. And here's what happened on 1st and 10. Like, oh yeah, what happened next? Yes. Anyway, sorry. Okay, keep going.
So free agency begins March 16th, and it is at 4:00 window. I believe that's New York Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time. And so that will be when Jimmy's trade officially goes through. That will be when any free agents that we have contacted in the legal tampering window actually get signed. And then we have off-season workout programs that begin for the Niners April 18th.
Real quick,
for returning coaches.
Over everything is the potential extensions for Debo and Bosa, which could happen at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
Anytime, right? I don't think they're limited. Those could happen before the start of the league year because they're currently under contract, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
I believe
and it could happen as late as, training camp.
Right.
Or not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I'll be super intrigued if they decide to do not at all with Bosa, because they could, right? They could certainly wait until next offseason to try and do it. That would seem like a big-time mistake.
They could. I mean, they said that both are pillars of the future and they're going to be here, but they said that with Buckner too. So it's hard to read it at this point. I guess we'll see what happens when Parag gets in that room.
Yep. And then the last big piece of the offseason, the draft in Las Vegas. I will be there. I'm going there. I'm going to Vegas.
Oh my God. So what is the in-person experience of the draft, and should I go?
I have no idea yet. This will be my first experience. But I think it will. It'll be Vegas, is what it'll be.
I hated that pick. That should be you, man. Every time.
Every time. You know me. It'll be me cheering every pick, not booing. If we went together, we'd be the yin and the yang. I would be cheering. You'd be booing. It would be fantastic.
That's the best part of those broadcasts, though, when Philly made a pick. Oh, here are the Philly fans.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
You suck.
What are we doing?
I just love the tradition of booing Roger Goodell and the fact that he now tries to embrace it.
Yeah, bring it on, guys. No, people genuinely don't like you.
Yeah, that's real.
It's not like a inside joke. It's like real dislike.
Yeah,
genuine.
That's disdain. That's high level disdain.
All right, so that's the offseason. At some point, we're going to see. Another thing I'm excited about with the offseason is just the Niners going all in behind one quarterback. That'll be crazy.
Oh, my God.
I think it should have a positive impact. Maybe they won't start the season 3-5. Maybe.
No quarterback controversy with Nate Sudfeld? I mean, maybe.
I hear he's doing really great in the meetings. That's because Aaron is also Droopy, the dog face. Droopy. You two are funny. Hope to do show with you guys soon. Great work, fellas. Thanks, Wayne.
What's up, Wayne?
Hey, man. What's up, Wayne? All right, next topic. Compensation for James Richard Garoppolo? Galapagos.
Galapagos.
I forgot his name. He's not on the team anymore. Galapagos. So where do you think they're going to trade Galapagos, and how much do you think they can get for those islands?
My two biggest trade targets, and I've been harping on the first one for a while now, and it made me feel very good when national reports came out indicating that that could be the spot, is Pittsburgh. I think I've been harping on it since
You
early
have.
November as a
You have.
landing spot.
It
That
makes
to me
perfect
is number
sense.
one.
It makes perfect sense to me because, like, Pittsburgh's been the same team for about 50 years. They changed a little bit to accommodate Ben Roethlisberger's Hall of Fame arm, but they're a team that wants to run the ball. They're the same team that would give the ball to Jerome Bettis 30 times a game. That's what they want to do with Najee Harris. They just spent a first-round pick on a running back. Who does that? They did
Right.
that. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of quarterback they'd be. Oh, he's not good throwing more than 25 times a game. Cool, fine,
Perfect.
So what you want to do? Yep,
That's what we want. And
Yeah.
I think, to me, the strategy of a team looking to pick up Garoppolo, you're not going to be a rebuilding team. Like, if you are rebuilding, is Jimmy Garoppolo really the guy that you want to build around?
No.
I'm just not
No.
convinced of that. I
No.
think you're a team that thinks you can win right now. You're a team that won recently. You're a team with a good defense, good running game, and you just want someone who is that middle of the road quarterback that you can pay accordingly, and you can, extend him out to a 3 or 4 year deal and make his cap hit much more palatable.
Mhm.
To me, Jimmy Garoppolo will get his wish. He'll go to a winner because only winners are going to be interested in him.
See, what's funny is the way you just laid it out and how he could fit, and for Pittsburgh in particular, makes me think, second round pick, not just getting the second. But here's the rub with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes.
If you trade for him, you gotta be prepared for him to be hurt by week 3. I mean, honestly, and this year he got hurt week 4. The year before he got hurt week 2. I mean, 2 years before that he got hurt week 3. He gets hurt a lot. So even though you think, he's safe, he's a vet, he wins, he'll give us a certain level of, until he's out. And then what's your plan? So if Jimmy, if you want to go into the Jimmy market, if you want to take on Jimmy to your team, it's not just Jimmy. It's Jimmy and someone else. Maybe they trust Mason Rudolph.
That's what I was going to say.
Maybe
he's in the conversation to be a starter with some folks, and so he's got to be suitable as a backup.
Well, then, to me, still though, the fact that you can't count on Jimmy to make it through a whole season drops that compensation from a 2 to 3 at best. If they get a 3, they should take that. I fear they won't, because I fear that they'll look at it as a loss. Take that.
I'll be shocked if they get anything less than a 2. My official prediction is a 2 and a 4, and it hasn't changed. It goes back to, again, that same November timeframe. I don't think the playoff run changed any NFL scouts or front office's minds. Like, they have a firm grasp of who Jimmy Garoppolo is as a quarterback, and the results of this year don't factor into it too much. To me, it's just simple supply and demand. There are not enough starting caliber quarterbacks. There will be a couple of teams that are kicking the tires on Jimmy. And to me, when you look at past compensation for mediocre quarterbacks, it's surprising how much you have to give up for one.
Yeah. Still, though, I think this playoff run didn't help Jimmy. It really cemented the perception of him that he will get you to the playoffs. And he's, good in the regular season, but he is not good in the playoffs. There's two different. He's played 6 playoff games, and he's really done the same things in a lot of them. I think that's the fact that he's hurt. I mean, he had the shoulder, the thumb. I just don't see the Niners. Look, you say a second and a fourth, and you're probably going to end up being right. My best guess here is a third at best. I don't see the Niners, because to me, look, if the Pittsburgh Steelers get him, forget Mason Rudolph. You still got to draft a quarterback, because Mason Rudolph isn't the future either. If you get Jimmy, that's just giving you a few years to develop the future.
Exactly.
You need to draft Malik Willis if he's available with your first round pick, Pittsburgh, and they will. So what's the point? And then if they do get Malik Willis and they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, they just put themselves in the same position the Niners were in last year, which I would say just play Willis. But teams don't listen to me at all. Even if I wear this, it's a really nice jacket, and it says quality control on the back. It does. And then people don't take care of it serious.
They don't listen to you, and then they only get to the NFC Championship game, and it doesn't work out for them.
I know. Oh, well. Anyway, Rob Martin says, "Sup, Grant? Hey, Rob, can we steal Baker Mayfield to back up the kid? Where's Baker going to end up?"
I don't know, but is he ready to be a backup already? I mean, he deserves to be a backup, but is he ready for that?
Baker, man, that happened fast.
Yeah, that went downhill quick.
Yeah. Who's got a brighter future in the league, Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Galapagos?
Ooh, brighter future.
there's something like toxic about Baker. It seems like
Yeah, I
people don't
gotta
like
go
him.
Jimmy. Because
Maybe
I think a winner takes him. That's my prediction. Is it's going to be a team that is ready to compete like the Steelers. I could also see the Washington Commanders. That certainly is my number 2
that is the worst name
team
for a team
out
of
of there.
all
But I mean, I just can't see Houston, Miami, Green Bay if they aren't happy with Love, Seattle, Carolina. Like I just don't see the other ones.
Yeah. Any Jimmy trade will likely have a snaps played clause, maybe 4 that goes to a 3 if he plays. That's a great point.
I
That's a
like
great
that.
point.
The question I have with that is then that means you're talking about next year's draft pick, right? Whereas you would think the Niners want a draft pick right now because they need to reload.
But they also don't want to look like they're losing on the trade. And if getting a
No,
pick next year helps them get that 2, that makes them feel
right.
like they broke even, they'll do that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it would be a mistake, but I agree they would do it just to save a little face.
Rob, what are the biggest areas of need for the 49ers heading into this offseason?
As I see it, if I'm going to list off my top 5, I'm going to go edge rusher, number 1, cornerback, number 2, offensive line depth, number 3, backup quarterback, number 4, and then safety depth, number 5. That's going to be my top 5.
Okay. I'm not going to go edge rusher just because, I mean, it's a really important position. D Ford's didn't work out, but I just feel like Chris Koster can make that work with whoever. Jordan Willis.
Continue to develop Samson Ebukam.
Jordan Willis, Samson Ebukam,
Okay.
Charles Menahu, whoever the hell he picks off the scrap heap. I think that's kind of a position they can almost not address in the draft unless they get someone special like Bosa. You just can't pass on them.
It's a fair point because that's how they addressed it this year, and it worked out pretty damn well.
It works. It works for them. So I would say, man, corner for sure, nickel, strong safety. They might need a starting strong safety. They might need a starting nickel. And Ambry's cool. You might want to bring in someone just to compete. I don't know if you really trust Ambry to. I don't know. A little unproven to me.
Of those 3, which are the Niners most likely to get cheap on, right? Because strong safety, they could certainly tap Tavarius Moore, right? He's now healthy off of the Achilles, supposedly. Nickel, they could go Diamador Lenore. And what was the other one that you listed there? Oh, corner. Right. So
to me, they should
they
probably
believe they have their 2 there.
They might consider spending their 2nd round pick on a strong safety. Like Hufanga is cool. He's a 5th round pick. I don't know what the expectation was. He came into the league saying he wanted to be a Pro Bowl special teamer. I think that's what he should shoot for. I think the Niners want they should get a better athlete at strong safety. Probably get one in the 2nd round. That's it. That also offensive line, as you pointed out. I mean, not just interior, right tackle too. Everyone, Mike McGlinchey's coming back. Okay. You got Mike McGlinchey, Jalen Moore, Colby. I'm not really into any of those guys. You might want to bring in a guy from free agency. You might want to. The Niners haven't shown any ability to develop young offensive linemen.
No. They really have. Well, I guess you could argue Brunskill to some extent, but how much did they develop him? How far did he get? And did they do what they did to Jimmy Ward, where they took him out of his ideal position, where he initially came in and looked like he was doing pretty well at tackle, and then the need at guard shifted him inside and hasn't been quite as dominant since.
Yeah, he's not a great player either. He's a serviceable starter, which is fine, but it's not like the Niners have an Elijah Mitchell on their offensive line or anything, or George Kittle on their offensive line. I mean, they brought in Laken Tomlinson and
former first-round draft pick.
Former first-round pick. I mean, maybe they should do something like that again. That seems to be their method.
Yeah, go try and get someone else's cast off where it just didn't work out. They have the talent. They had the talent to warrant a high draft pick, but it didn't quite work out in their current system.
Wasn't a fit or whatever. Yeah, do that. I would think. I'm missing anyone? How about tight end? I mean, I love Ross Dwelly.
He's a free agent, so he may not be back.
Yeah, I don't know. They might want to bring in a tight end.
They've been trying to get a second tight end for a while too.
They have.
They flirted with a lot of them. Good ones. You know who's available? Dalton Schultz is going to be available.
He did some stuff against the Niners in that.
He did. That'll be an intriguing one to watch.
Trade Jimmy for a good backup. Sam Darnold. Oh no, Teddy B. Oh yeah, Teddy B is.
I like Teddy.
Teddy B, Jimmy G. I think it's important to replace Jimmy G with someone who has that, Teddy B, Joey B kind of Iggy C. You got to have that. That's the role on the team,
Yeah. You got to have the cool factor.
Robbie S, the cool factor. Baker, a first-round pick, he will get more shots. Who the hell wants Baker right now, though? But yeah, he will. But I mean, where? I don't know. Is he going to stay in Cleveland? Probably going to stay in Cleveland.
Be interesting to see him in Carolina.
Yeah. It's still probably a pretty bad team. But it would be interesting to see them be bad. I'd be interested. Hold on. Let's prioritize potential 49ers free agents because they have a lot and they're going to have to prioritize them.
Yes, they are going to have to decide. They have it's like 30 freaking free agents, Grant. They are split between restricted free agents, and the exclusive rights free agents. So let's start with the exclusive rights free agents because that is basically offer them the minimum deal and then they're yours, right? You lock them in pretty easily. Jawan Jennings, Colton McKivitz. What's that?
They don't have a choice, basically.
Yeah, right. They're locked in. No negotiation with other teams. Jawan Jennings, Colton McKivitz, JaMychal Hasty, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, and Kevin Givens. Those are the 5 exclusive rights free agents. How many of those you think the Niners just tag and bring back?
All of them. They're cheap. Hold on. Say him again.
Jawan Jennings. Jawan's a lock to me.
Jawan's a lock.
Colton McKivitz
coming back. He started week 18 for him at left tackle. He's coming back. Yeah,
right. Good point. JaMychal Hasty, the third down running back.
Third down back. Yep,
Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles.
They like him. They've spent a lot of years working on him. Yep, he's coming back.
And Kevin Givens, interior defensive line depth.
He's legitimately a good player. Yes.
Yeah. I think when you have 23 open spots after trading Jimmy Garoppolo and you can fill 5 with these restricted free agents, to me, exclusive rights free agents, I should say. Yes. To me, I think you lock down all of them.
Yeah. Okay. I think they do and they will. Yeah.
The next category is the restricted free agents, just 3 in this one. And the restricted free agents, that's where you've got to place a tender on them, right? You can place an original round tender to where if a team does sign them, you have the opportunity to match it. But if you don't, then they have to compensate you with the original draft pick that you spent on that player. Or you can do a second round tender or a first round tender. If you do a second, you pay more for them, but then the team would have to compensate you with a second. Yeah. So the 3 are Daniel Brunskill, Kentavious Street, and Azeez Al-Shaair.
Street can go unless he's really cheap, he can go. Because
what round did we take him in? Was he a fourth? Yeah.
Yeah. What was he? Azeez coming back.
Yeah.
You think no, hold on. Actually, hold on. Azeez played really well this year. Azeez, if some team gives him like a $30 or $40 million contract, I don't know if the Niners would match it. Now, if they give him a second round tender, maybe a team won't want to give that guy, that's trading a second round pick for Azeez Al-Shaair. Yeah. They might have to give him a second round tender.
I think that's the one that you do because you could picture Kentavious Street with the 4th rounder. You could go with the original round tender on Kentavious Street if you want to keep him as defensive line depth. And you would doubt that a team is going to give up a 4th rounder for Kentavious Street, but it doesn't cost you quite as much. With Azeez, they're looking at doing a long-term deal with him anyway, so he's going to get a pay bump no matter what. So to me, the second round tender would allow you to lock him down and then begin that negotiation period with him.
Absolutely. I'm not sure that he'll get a long-term deal this year. The Niners might want to go year to year with him for a little bit longer. But yeah, he's not going anywhere.
The interesting thing is a second round tender comes with a $3.384 million salary. And
that's fair. That's fair for Azeez. I'm sure he actually thinks he's worth a lot more than that. And then
I bet he does.
Sure he does. But so I think second round tender for him.
And then Brunskill, let him walk?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of competition for Daniel Brunskill. I think he'll probably come back. I don't know if they have to tender him. They could give him the original. He was an undrafted free agent. So what are you going to do? I don't know how that works.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what the undrafted, I think that would then be a 7th round pick, but
Right.
I'm not entirely certain of what an undrafted free agent, if you tender them as an original round, what you get compensated. But you could see the 49ers wanting to hold on. Daniel Brunskill, to me, is if you're able to replace who you have there at right guard with, say, Aaron Banks, he becomes a top tier backup. I mean, that is a phenomenal backup to have. Not many
Yes.
teams have the level of backup of Daniel Brunskill behind their starting 5.
That's what you want him to do, to be your
Yes.
backup. Not your starting right guard,
Right.
ideally. Although the Niners have won a lot of games with him, it's not like he's a total liability.
So the list of free agents is too long to go through, right? It's like 25 players or something like that.
Yeah.
But there are some key names on there that I'm sure come top of mind to you as well. To me, if I'm targeting some free agents, the ones I'm certain that I want to have conversations with are Laken Tomlinson, DJ Jones, Arden Key, and Jaquaski Tart. Those are for certain. For me, for certain.
Those are the most expensive ones. To me,
They are.
Laken Tomlinson could get a lot of money from a team.
He could.
He could get a lot of money from a team.
Arden Key as well. He may get paid. DJ Jones is a run stopper. So
on Arden Key. That's another guy who could get, like, Kerry Hyder had one good year with the Niners and Cashton left, which was a mistake because he's not, he didn't do well.
And you could argue Arden Key had a more impressive season because it was all the second half, right? He didn't get the opportunity right away. And so teams can project, well, damn, if he had gotten that opportunity to start the season, what would a full season of him look like?
See, I think Arden Key's going to leave. And I think what the Niners are going to say is, why should we spend a lot of money for Arden Key when we can just let Kosar create the next Arden Key?
Do it again.
You can do this. We don't need to spend $40 million, whatever, on Arden Key when you can keep doing this. And you can let Arden Key go let down the next franchise like he did with the Raiders. That seems to be probably their MO. So don't be so sure that DJ Jones or Arden Key's coming back. If either one gets a nice payday, I think the Niners will be like, look, we like you, but we also like Kevin Givens. We also like Charles Omenihu, who, like, we got options.
Yep. And they got, Jordan Willis is also going to be a free agent, and he's going to be considerably less expensive there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maurice Hurst, on the interior. Like, there are options. You definitely have Kinlaw coming back. So that'll be tricky.
I'm sure they think they can do with Hurst what they did with Key.
Yeah. One of the big questions I have for you is the Niners need to get rid of this perpetually injured cloud that hangs over them. It wasn't true this year. And yet the Niner faithful will still feel that going into the offseason and will still demand that decisions be made so that we don't bring back players that are consistently injured. Now, there are 3 that I think the Niners are going to debate. It is, do you cut D Ford with the post June 1 designation? You only save $2.4 million. That is all you save. And NFL minimum salary is $660K. So you're bringing in a body to replace him. So really, you're looking at about $1.8 million that you save by getting rid of D Ford. So do you do that?
Yes.
And do you bring back? You're like, yes, that's an easy one.
Yeah. I don't.
And
think
then you have Mostert and Verrett.
Oh man,
do you roll the dice on either one?
I think I would like to bring them into camp if they would accept non-guaranteed contracts and let sort of like play their way onto the team in camp and show that they're healthy. Those guys have Pro Bowl potential.
Do you think either one of them would take a non-guaranteed contract with what you know about them as players?
Depends what they're on. I mean, how many teams want Raheem Mostert right now? How many teams want Verrett right now? So if they get, I think the Niners probably wouldn't match a good offer, but if they're disappointed with the offers on the free agency, I'm sure. I mean, Mostert, Verrett's from Fairfield. I think they'd want to stay. I don't know.
Yeah, Verrett's the one that I could see teams just being like, dude, that injury list is pretty redonkulous.
No one's paying.
I mean, it's long, it's brutal. How many more is he going to fight back through before the body just quits at some point?
Maybe Mike McDaniel takes Mostert with him.
That would be interesting.
Possible. Although Saleh didn't bring any of his dudes with him, so hard to say. Rob Martin.
He finally brought Ronnie B in. If you want to win, put Ronnie B in.
That's right. Any more free agents you want to talk about? I mean, Tart seems like he could probably leave. I think they've been trying to push him out. I don't know if Hufanga is going to – they're probably going to give it to Hufanga. I think it's a mistake. They should probably get someone better. I think Tart's probably going to go. I think the expensive defensive linemen probably are going to go. Tomlinson. I mean, maybe they'll prioritize him because if they lose him, what do they do? Drafting
Right.
isn't working, right? I mean, they don't know what they're doing. And I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to think you're a Super Bowl caliber team and have 2 holes at your interior lineman positions and a 30. Will Mac be 37 this year?
I mean, if you don't pay Tomlinson, you're just going to have to pay someone else even more.
Right.
So I think they're going to have to find a way to keep Tomlinson.
I think so too. The only other name I want to bring up is one that I just want your emotional opinion on is do the Niners bring Ross Dwelley back?
I would like to think so, but the fact that the Niners just fired the guy who discovered and developed Ross Dwelley, I mean, they just fired the tight end coach. They're going to bring in some new tight end coach who knows less about Ross Dwelley than I do, who has no attachment to these guys, and we'll see what happens.
The one point of clarification that I read this morning, and I believe to be true from the source that I read it from, is that it actually was an expired contract, and then he came in for renewal, and when he came in for the renewal offer, it was substantially less because they were going to take away.
Face is what it was. Hey, right here, let me get you right. Hold on. They had like the powder. They were like, hold on. Here we go. Bah!
It's like in the Bugs Bunny cartoons where he takes off the glove.
Dude.
And then slaps him with it.
So unnecessary. Look, you just say, hey, man, you didn't get it done. We want a new tight end coach. You're gone.
Right.
They're like, actually, we want to keep you, but we want to slap you in the face first, and we want to totally humiliate you. What do you think? Weak. Why do that to someone? Anyway, Niners are better than that is what I want to say.
They should be.
Are better than that. Should be. Dwelley, don't worry. I believe in you. Rob Martin says, trade Kittle for picks, develop Dwelley. We can jump right to the trade section since you brought it up. Any potential trades this offseason you expect? There's one that's very obvious to me, Trey Greenlaw, right off the bat. I don't think he's dead. That's obvious. He's going to have to show that he's healthy, though.
The interesting thing for me is, to me, the motivator for trades in this season, I don't think they move any big names. That's just my gut feeling. I know that they could, but in my opinion, it's got to be two things have to be true. One, the 49ers believe themselves to be a Super Bowl contender. So if you're going to get rid of any key piece, any big name, you have to believe that you can replace them. You have to believe that they don't factor into you being a Super Bowl caliber team. And I don't think that's true of any of the big names, or at least I don't believe the 49ers believe that to be true. I think it's the fringe players where you see some of this, and it's got to be, I mean, it will illustrate just how tight the 49ers are up against the cap, because they will get rid of players and bring in a rookie where they're only saving like $500,000. And that's the case with Dre Greenlaw. His salary is going to be $1 million, just over $1 million, 1.04. A rookie base salary minimum is $660. So at best, you're saving $350,000 with that move, but you're bringing in an asset. You're bringing in that 6th or that 7th round pick. So to me, Dre is the one that jumps off the page.
Let's go to what Rob asked. George Kittle. Will they trade George Kittle? Let's not dismiss this yet.
No. Let's play it through on both sides.
Yeah, let's bring up his contract. So he's going to be 30 this year.
Really?
He's also going to, he's going to turn 30.
I would have guessed he'd be
like
29,
November.
but
he just turned, I think hold on, let me see. George Kittle age. He's 28. All right, he'll be 29. I aged him too quick.
Aging the man.
He's 28. His contract is going to go up to $16 million. He was at his cap number this year was 5.
That's
going to go to 6. So he's finally going to be paying what they thought they'd be paying him. One more thing. Last 6 games of the season, he had fewer than 30 receiving yards 5 times.
Oof.
And fewer than 20 receiving yards twice. He had, let me see, from the Tennessee game, he had 2 catches for 21 yards. Houston, he had 1 catch for 29. Rams, he had 5 catches for 10 yards. Dallas game, he had 1 catch for 18 yards. Green Bay, 4 catches for 63. NFC Championship, 2 catches for 27 yards and a touchdown. They're paying a lot of money for a guy who, for whatever reason, is not the center of their offense anymore. When they paid him, they thought he was, but now it's Debo. And I'm not really sure, like, he's not the blocker he used to be. They don't use him as much as they do. And it's hard to justify spending $16 million on a tight end who's like your number 2 option on a run first team.
And I think, I mean, this is me playing devil's advocate because I don't want fans to think that this is my actual opinion. This is just me working through some logic here. But
considering
you can't say about George Kittle what you could say about Brandon Ayuk, which is, well, the quarterback switch is going to immediately make him a better threat. George Kittle's a pretty damn good fit for what the Niners like to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. Throw the ball over the middle, set him up for yards after the catch. And is he also a deep threat? Yes, certainly. I mean, there are some big passes that were missed that if Trey can hit those, all of a sudden George has 100 yards and a touchdown in several of those games, right? You look at his drop against Green Bay and then the overthrow against the Rams are the first two that come to mind. But again, like, I just don't think that you can say his lack of production is because of Jimmy Garoppolo. And so you don't necessarily fix it by moving on. So I do think it's a valuable question to bring up. Is his lack of
Kyle? Kyle's the one calling the plays. He's the one
right.
calling all these plays for Jennings, Ayuk, Debo, and not for Kittle as much anymore as Kyle. Seems to me that Kittle had his. Jimmy loves throwing to Kittle, and Kittle campaigned for Jimmy to be the quarterback. It seems, and now he's not going to be there anymore. How's Kittle going to feel? He might feel like he's on an island. I mean, they did just fire his position coach. That was his guy. He developed him, discovered him. That was his guy, and he's gone. What kind of message does that say? It's like having your immediate supervisor who you're really cool with get fired. Right. Well, damn, who's the new guy going to be? Maybe he won't like me.
Yeah, I'm just the guy who brought you in.
And why would you fire my immediate supervisor? Is something I did? What is it about the tight end room? Again, of course, he wasn't fired, but when when you slash a guy's salary like that, he's not coming back if he has any ounce of self-respect.
Right.
You know? So I mean, I'm not surprised. Anyway,
no, you are essentially firing him. You're firing him by proxy.
Will they trade Kittle? Probably not. But what if they put him in the Jimmy Garoppolo package? Trade them both. No, they're not going to do it. But I can understand why people are going there. It's starting to get weird. Jimmy's leaving. He fired his coach. Kyle just forgot about it in the last 6 games of the season. I mean, here and there they go to him, but basically you block. It's weird.
The interesting thing for me to consider is looking at his recent production versus the value that you could get in a trade and the money that you would free up. Emotionally, I'm not prepared to even explore this as a real possibility. George Kittle, to me, is a part of the core of this team. He's a part of the identity. He is everything Kyle Shanahan looks for in a player. He's a nightmare matchup. He's great in run blocking. To me, it's a non-starter, but when you take the emotion out of it and you consider what the 49ers could get and the production that they'd be giving up in letting him go, it's less black and white for me in those terms.
Well, my question is, where is Kittle's head at right now? I mean, he just lost his coach. Yeah. He's going to lose his quarterback. They really held his feet to the fire during those contract negotiations. God knows what they told him. It was very difficult for him to get that. It came down to the very end. There could be some link. They don't call his number anymore. They're phasing him out of the pass game. He had 3 games of 100 yards this year. 3. And they played, 20 games? That's different than how they used to use him. I could see him being like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to go somewhere. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but my question is not, do the Niners want him? It's, does he want to be there? Is he excited to play with Trey? Is he cool having the entire offense go through Debo every week? That's all I want to know, because he does have his own ego.
That would change the equation for me. If Kittle in any way is discontented, then you would have to explore it.
Yep. Anyone else that could possibly trade this offseason?
I certainly think that fans would want to throw the name Javon Kinlaw out there, but I just don't know what you would get in return, right? I think that the upside, much like weighing D Ford and any production you could get for that $1.75 million that you would save in cutting him, I think that's what the Niners will be evaluating.
Luke says, I don't think it's beyond Kyle to draft a quarterback too as an insurance policy. You're going to be overpaying for a quarterback in free agency this year. Is it worth it for a vet?
I mean, he did with Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins. He did go with 2 rookies in that instance.
True. It's just Kyle's so dogmatic and conservative about people needing to be in his offense for a year before they can function. Like, all right, well, if you're going to bring in a backup who doesn't know your offense and isn't functional, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they did it with Lance this year. They trusted Lance to be a backup. Maybe they will. Hey, that'd be great.
And then it would be Sudfeld would be competing for the backup role, right? Then you're not giving the backup role to Sudfeld, but you do have someone who knows the offense that could compete to be number 2.
Well, that's great. That gives us an excuse to scout quarterbacks again this year, which is always fun.
Amen.
Trade Kinlaw for. Let me try to say that again. Miguel Santana says, trade Kinlaw for. Hold on.
Let me try to say that again.
This is great. I love this. Okay, hold on. Trade Kinlaw for a first. I see him being the next D Ford. I love that. Miguel thinks things might not work out with Javon Kinlaw. Miguel, I'm right there with you. Problem is, I think the rest of the world sees it too. I don't know if you're going to get that first back for him at this point, but
what value could if some team was interested in Kinlaw, what value would you put on him? I mean, legitimately, without clowning on the dude.
It's all. I don't think he has any. I think basically teams are going to be saying, "Whoa, let's see what he looks like after." Call him back. Let's see what he looks like in preseason. Teams would want to see. Otherwise, how do you know you're not getting? How do you not get even past a physical? Probably can't at that point.
I think it would need to be like a Laken Tomlinson type deal. I mean, what did we get him for? That was cheap, right? Wasn't it a
if he's healthy
rounder?
for training camp and has a good game in preseason and you don't want him, then you could trade him. But you have to wait. Yeah.
And it's a low-level draft pick.
Yeah. I've heard the Jets are high on Mostert in free agency. They should be.
They should be. I
mean, if his knee has anything left, I like Raheem Mostert. I hope he gets another.
I love him. I hope we get him back.
284 career carries in the regular season. Can we see a little more? I like watching him play. Someone explain what the Niners gain with D Ford. Hope.
Yeah, they hope they get 200 snaps, 300 snaps.
To me, he signed a contract. He's doing everything he can. He rehabs. He goes out. He plays. He gets hurt. What's he going to do? You know he's going to – this back cannot hold up. 2 years, the Niners have said in training camp, we're really hopeful. It doesn't work anymore. I don't see how the third year is going to be the charm, although Jerick McKinnon leaves and all of a sudden he's a great player for the Chiefs. So maybe D Ford would leave and all of a sudden it's the Niners' fault. I don't know. It seems like the Chiefs managed it a lot better than the Niners do.
The body is capable of some miraculous things. The McKinnon is a great illustration of that. I would say if he had some type of procedure, like something where he has now changed the equation, I'd be more inclined to keep him around if he has some sort of surgery on the back that has some chance of fixing it long term. But if it's just, well, we're going to rest for the offseason and then he'll come back, well, great. That's like what? He's going to play 45 snaps?
Jimmy G and Debo for Aaron Rodgers signed Devontae in free agency. Niner fans really want to be the Packers, man. So bad. So bad.
Because speaking of quarterbacks that are great in big games.
Speaking of quarterbacks who are going to retire in a year or two.
And be nothing but drama while they're there.
I'll pass on the Aaron Rodgers thing. I know it sounds blasphemous. If you bring him in, you're probably guaranteed to win a Super Bowl, but I want to see Trey Lance play. Does that make me crazy? Probably.
No.
Hey, Grant, what do you think about Juju as a Niners? I think he's going to be expensive, and they don't need another he would play Jawan Jennings' spot, and he's better than Jawan Jennings. But Jawan Jennings is costing him what, $400,000 right now, and he's embedded in the offense. So I don't think it's going to happen. That's my I don't think it's going to happen face. All right, next topic: draft priorities, because the draft's coming up too. What would you prioritize in the draft?
The Niners have 8 selections, right? The first one is round 2, and then they have the round 3, the compensatory one that they got for the dual compensation of Martin Mayhew and Robert Saleh departing. And so they have that third rounder. They gave away their own third rounder. They have their own 4th, their own 5th. They got the 6th back from the Broncos, the trade of the linebacker the other year, and then 3 compensatories in the 7th.
So they have 2 top 100 picks, 61 and 93?
61 and 93.
Ooh,
and you would guess another top 100 pick for Jimmy Garoppolo.
You would guess. I'm not guessing.
I would guess.
Okay. All right.
So to me, I mean, it is, an interesting quandary of, do the Niners look to fill more of those empty spots with draft picks? Because I could see them certainly going the Patriots route of trade back, because you got to fill 23 spots on the roster. There's no cheaper way to do it than with rookies. And if you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, how many of those can be undrafted rookie free agents, right? You want to steer clear of filling out the last 10 spots on your roster with undrafted rookie free agents.
Although
I could see them trading back a little bit.
First round picks, I'm just saying. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I would say my top target, and I think we differ on this because as you were saying, you see them being able to address it piecemeal. But to me, their top target in the second round should be the replacement of D Ford. I think they should move on from D Ford, but I think they need somebody to do that. And it should be a speed edge rusher. Those guys are a little more affordable than the all-around edge rushers. I think there'll be something available end of the second.
Fair. I say the same thing every year, though, in draft coverage. I'm not a draft guru, but I do have a philosophy on roster building, and it is heavily dependent on drafting DBs high. I think DB is a position with very short shelf life. You have to be so fast and athletic and quick and explosive and off the charts and everything. And once you're 29, you're already on the brink of being over the hill. And a lot of these DBs, when even the best ones, when they get to free agency, they're already like 27, 28, and you already missed it. And you're going to be paying for what they did a few years ago. So if you're going to lose, I don't know what's going to happen with Tart and K1, but to me, they're a little old, they're a little injury prone. They're good, but you'd like to get better at both spots. So I would consider going DB in round 2 and round 3, taking a nickel, taking a safety in round 2, a nickel in round 3. I think you could get a good, strong. I don't know who the players are. Theoretically, most years you could get a good, strong safety in the second round, a good nickel in the third round. I'm going to do my research, I promise, but it's only February 4th.
The season's not actually over, right? A Super Bowl hasn't even happened. Yeah, you can't be cursing Grant for not having gotten into his draft coverage yet.
And I know they also need offensive line, but again, they just spent a second-round pick on an offensive lineman last year, and it didn't work out. Yeah, they don't have a great track record of developing young offensive linemen. They do have a great track record of developing linebackers and running backs and other positions. So I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm saying. What am I saying?
DBs. You want to double down on DBs.
DBs.
I like that. I mean, what I think is reasonable about that strategy is you're correct that the shelf life of a defensive back in the league is decreasing. And I think that's a reflection of people being willing to burn through wide receivers as well, because it's the speed of the defensive back that has to keep up with the wide receivers. And you see guys spending considerable draft picks year in, year out to bring in those speedy wide receivers. And then it's a shorter career for some of those fringe players, but it's during the height of their ability to run fast. And so a DB has to be able to keep up with that. I actually think you have a reasonable strategy there of continuing to draft and develop a DB. I think you would lean into it harder than I would, but I like the idea of consistently spending a fringe top 100 pick on a defensive back year in, year out, because you're going to miss on some of those.
You are going to miss, but if you hit on those two, those are two starters for you.
Right.
What other positions are you looking for starters in the draft? Obviously, edge rusher, you could get one there. But we're going to talk about this later, which positions you go after in free agency and which ones you go after in the draft. I think the Niners have shown that they can get D linemen in free agency for sure.
Yes. Well, because if you're a defensive lineman and you're a free agent, what better place to go to earn yourself some cheddar than a 1-year deal with San Francisco, get coached up, and go get your money?
And D linemen have longer shelf lives. Like, people write them off. And then they pop like Von Miller. People think he's what? No, he's not. He's in the Super Bowl again. Boom. Yeah. He's a good player. And they got him for nothing.
Yes. Yeah. Dude, it's much less about technique, much more about grown man strength and technique. Sorry, much less about speed, much more about technique and strength.
Yep. No question. And being big. So those are the Niners draft priorities. Are we missing anything? Maybe a quarterback in round 5, something like that? That'd be fun.
Yeah, you could spend a 5th, 6th, one of those compensatory 7ths, right? Grab one of the guys that is headed to be an unrestricted free agent, but tag him before that so that he can't get into a bidding war with other teams. I like the idea of bringing in a young quarterback. I think that's creative, especially with Nate Sudfeld on the roster. I would not be thrilled if that quarterback didn't work out and Nate Sudfeld was our backup for the whole season. Mm-hmm. But it's a decent strategy with a cash-strapped team.
Yep. And probably don't draft a running back. Give Trey Sermon a shot. Maybe.
If they don't bring back JaMycal Hasty or Jeff Wilson Jr., I could see them drafting one.
I still like Sermon. I don't understand why he never got a chance. I'd like to see him get a chance. We lost because Grant didn't go to the – blame Grant. Sorry, I tried. I got COVID. I went on a lot of trips this year without getting COVID. It was the Omarion, man. You can only hope to escape the Omarion, but he gets you with his dance moves and his charm and his good singing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Brandon Scherf if they can not re-sign Lakin and move Banks to the left. Brandon Scherf is really good. He'd probably be expensive too, no? Probably an upgrade overall. Jonathan Jones for New England in the slot. Thank you for some names. Names are good. Yeah, I think the Niners are – if it ain't Lakin, it's going to be someone else very expensive. So probably going to stick with Lakin.
That Niner guy is very tapped in to draft material. So I would make note of these names. He was on the call-in show last night on my program, and very insightful dude. I like the idea of being able to move Banks back to the left, because that could have been a part of what was the issue. I do have to question, though, whether now you're into messing with the guy, right? Like we did with Jimmy Ward, where it's like, well, you're going to be here. No, we're going to put you back over here. Eventually, you just got to let him settle in. But if this is the move that lets him settle in on the left, I like that creativity.
And he says Jonathan Jones in the slot. Everyone check out Jonathan Jones. If that Niner guy said it, I would check it out. Still think the Niners look at Armstead trade. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that. I wanted to bring that up. We were supposed to do that.
We were.
Damn it. Sorry, dude. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to bring the thing up.
You can't count on me for short-term memory, Grant. You just can't.
Me neither, man. That was bad. Okay, Armstead. Well, let's bring up his contract real quick, because I'm curious to see if he's going to get expensive yet. He might have one more year where he's not expensive.
I want to say this year he's about what he should be paid. I think he's close to that 17 mil.
Yeah, this year he's getting 12. Next year it's 20. Okay, so next year he's very expensive. And the thing about Armstead is there is no question he has the ability to be dominant. We've seen it. We saw it in 2019. We saw it at the end of 2021. He can do it. My problem with him is that it seems like he flips a switch, and it's hard to say when he's going to flip it. And there are certain games where he's like totally not an impact player, like the NFC Championship game. He didn't register a statistic. Nothing. No tackles, nothing. And that's my issue with him. He's way too good to have games like that. And to get paid $20 million as a defensive tackle, I feel like you're pretty much expected to give the same level of effort and impact every game. And that's never been him. He's the guy who has high peaks and then weeks where you're like, dude, did he play? I don't know. I would consider it, yes. Especially since he finished his season strong.
The interesting thing to consider is because he moved because he's most effective at the interior spot, that makes him less valuable to the Niners as far as what he should be paid, right? A defensive tackle should be paid less than a defensive end as dictated by the league, but it also makes him less appealing to teams thinking of where they would plug him in. It's interesting to wonder whether he just has more value as the Swiss Army knife that he is for San Francisco, where he can play along the line, and Chris Kosaric knows exactly what he's got with him. Am I pronouncing that correctly, by the way? Is it Kosaric or Kosaric?
Kosaric. Emphasis on the first syllable.
I always question myself about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that he provides unique value to the 49ers because of his ability to play all over. You heard DJ Jones talk about that this season. I just don't know that another team would value that versatility the same way the Niners do.
It might be Kosaric, actually. I have no idea. Now that you mention it, I don't know. I've been saying Kosaric. I don't know.
I love how confident you were, and you're like, yeah, it's Kosaric. Well, maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not. The thing about Armstead, I think, I don't think he's tradable. I don't think anyone wants to spend $20 million a year on Armstead. I think everyone would agree that he's a good player, but is he that good? Do you want to trade a pick for the right to spend that much money on a guy who doesn't make an impact consistently?
Yeah.
Kittle, a lot of teams would want to spend $16 million. A lot of teams would say, well, we don't have Debo. Right. We would love to feature George Kittle on our
teams
offense.
Would
bring
line
him
up.
Over here.
Yeah.
Teams would line up. And 16, I think Armstead, I think the Niners, it's like, you're stuck with that. That's you. That's on you.
And he's a prime candidate for a renegotiated contract to where you free up a little money, it gets creative, you give him a bunch of cash up front, and you make those numbers a bit more palatable.
Good. Thanks for reminding us. Sorry that it cost you $2 more. I swear I didn't do that on purpose. Sacktown Izzy said the tight end coach did not develop a single tight end. George Kittle was a 5th round pick. What are you talking about? Jimmy has missed Kittle over the middle several times this season. Now it's time for Kittle to face reality and see a quarterback who actually takes a shot down the field. Yeah, I mean, hold on. I'm not sure that you can say that John Emery didn't develop any tight ends, but if that's what they felt, that he was a bad tight end coach, then why would you want to keep him as a tight end coach? Then fire him. Don't offer him anything. But that's not what happened. They were like, we want you as our tight end coach, but we want to make someone else the assistant head coach and give that money to them. It seemed to me like if they wanted to do that, then we could say, look. Here's the way. Here's how you handle it. Look, John, we need to give this title to someone else for the XYZ reasons. And I know it's not what you want to hear, but don't worry, we're not going to slash your salary. We're not going to do that to you. You've worked for us for 5 years. We appreciate what you do. We got to give this guy a raise. He's going to leave if we don't do this, but we're going to give you a raise. It's nothing. It's peanuts to them. They're worth $4 billion. Why do you want to cut his salary? What is that? To me, that's like, was there an argument? Is like what? That's almost personal at that point. I don't see why you would do that. And it's like, I think some fans have said, well, all position coaches are paid the same. I don't think they are. There's not a pay scale for position.
Chris Kosarick is not paid the same. He is well compensated.
There's no reason to say you got to take a 60% pay. Just keep paying him what he's worth unless he's not good, and then say you're not coming back. The middle ground seems to me just a slap in the face.
Because the other side of that is the team arguing, well, we're removing some responsibilities from his plate, right? But the reality of that is he's not going to work fewer hours. This is the NFL. This is coaching. The dude probably works, 130 hours a week or something ridiculous like that. And he's going to continue to need to work at that pace. I agree. Overall, in the scheme of things, it was more of a public relations nightmare, worth the money just to pay him that salary going forward, unless you wanted to move on. And in that case, why did you choose to insult him? Why not just say, hey, listen, all due respect, we're going in a different direction?
Yeah. All I can think is if my employer said, hey, look, we're slashing your salary by 60%. To me, I'm taking that as we're hoping you quit. Like no one would expect you to stay after that. And if you did, they wouldn't respect you. You wouldn't respect you. I mean, it'd be a very weird work dynamic. So it's pretty much someone inviting you to quit. Like, we're not going to fire you for whatever reason, but dude, please don't come back. You can't accept this, right? This is an offer you can't accept. That's what I'm thinking. AA and Kittle, only ones who can trade post June 1 and save hella money. Problem is post June doesn't help for winning this year. And that's future picks. Right. That's true. That is true. You could trade player for player.
Right.
Player for player. That's a good point. Jesse. See, I know who that is.
Jesse Naylor.
14th pick, 29th pick for Trey. Not bad so far. What do you think? 14th pick, 29th pick for Trey. Not bad so far. Is that what it's cost him? The 14th pick last year. Yes. It was the 12th, I want to say. They have the 12th. It
was the 12th.
12th. So the 12th last year, the 29 this year. That's true. That is true.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And let's consider this. It's not improbable to believe had Trey Lance stayed at North Dakota State, they would have gone 16-0 again. That is not a far-fetched reality to throw out there. Had he stayed, he would be the number 1 overall draft pick this year. I guarantee it.
I think so too, because right now everyone's getting really excited about Malik Willis, who might be Trey Lance. Maybe. That's sort of how, maybe. The offense shouldn't be predicated on just one man. Yeah. And I think with Trey Lance, you're going to see the Niners take what the defense gives them. Some weeks they'll pass, some weeks they'll run. But the way defense was selling out to stop the run in the playoffs and the Niners kept running into it, I don't think they're going to have to do that anymore. But maybe I'm wrong. This is a stacked edge rushing class. Boy, Niners can get Boy Mafi. I should know. In the 3rd round, cornerback should be priority in the 2nd round. Darian Kendrick and Martin Emerson. Thank you for throwing out names.
I like that.
Pre-combine.
I think we're going to have 2 second rounders because I think we're getting Jimmy for a second. So I think you can grab both an edge and a cornerback in the 2nd.
Let me tell you how. There's 3 different ways to cover the draft. There's like most journalists. You just wait until the combine, you see the 40-yard dash times, and then you start learning people. There's the dedicated people who start learning the Senior Bowl, and there's people who really watch college football. I don't watch college football. I don't know about you. As Quentin Tarantino said in Pulp Fiction, I don't want to get divorced, okay? So I don't watch college football. I don't want to get divorced. Don't Jimmy me Jules. Can we draft a head coach Yikes. Kyle. That was funny. I liked it, though. I liked it.
Brandon, I can't understand a head coach that turned around a team from 3-5 to get to the NFC Championship game. The fact that the fan base, a portion of them, still would rather get rid of him, it boggles my mind.
Dude, this is the team that won their first 5 appearances in the Super Bowl. This fan base has no patience for high-level losers.
True,
and it's probably why a large part of the fan base wasn't mad when Harbaugh left. They didn't expect it to get that bad afterward, but a lot of people were like, you know what, dude, you had 3 chances. You're never going to do it. And, he probably won't ever do it. He can't do it in Michigan.
Yeah.
There are high-level losers in life. And I'm not saying Kyle is that. But Andy Reid was that for a long time.
Right. They are that until they're not, is kind of my stance on it. People are capable of growth. And I think that's what folks who wanted to get rid of Harbaugh or want to get rid of Kyle Shanahan are failing to realize is you've got the core of what you really want there. You just need a little bit more in certain areas, and he's capable of that growth. It's just a question of whether he will.
Let's stay there, though. The growth needed is very specific. Like, don't give away double-digit point leads in the fourth quarter of the biggest game of your season. That's the growth, right? And it's crazy.
Well, that's the problem. I don't know if that's the growth is what characteristics would get him beyond that, but that is the problem.
That's the problem. And whatever growth is necessary for that to stop happening was crazy. It's happened 3 times now.
Yeah.
And after each time, he's asked, is there anything you would do differently? And every time he says, well, with the benefit of hindsight, absolutely. But without the benefit of hindsight, no, there's nothing I would do differently. And as long as he has that attitude, I don't see how you can expect the necessary growth in that particular area for that to not. It seems like it's going to keep happening unless he is honest with himself at a certain point.
Right. That's what you have to hope, is that he's just saying that to the camera, but internally he's like, man, I got to fix this shit.
That's the hope. But for my 5 years covering Kyle, I think he's being quite honest. I don't think he blames himself.
Could be.
And it's like, Kyle, how do you blame anyone else for the fact that Debo got 1 touch in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game and no touches in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl? How do you blame anyone but yourself? Why would you blame anyone but yourself? That is more in your control than anyone else. Yeah.
Should not be blaming anyone but yourself.
Thank you, James. One more. Embry tight ends, Tony Gonzalez, Chris Cooley, Huber, Kittle, Dwelly. Yeah, man. I mean, like,
that's a long list.
You're really telling me that this guy with all these years of experience just isn't good? I'm really curious to see who the new tight end coach is going to be. What's his resume? Who has he developed? Curious to see. But maybe, Kyle's got a network. I don't know.
I'm also fascinated to see who's going to be the new assistant head coach.
Last topic, and then I got to go. I think it's going to be Kosaric. That's my guess. I think they're trying to find ways to keep him and give him more money. Better to buy or draft. We've gone through the needs of the team, but the real question, I think, is how do you get these players? And that's kind of a nuanced roster building discussion, but I love it. I think about it a lot in the offseason, and I have strong opinions whether I'm right or not. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, we've hit on a couple of the areas that should dictate this, right? I mean, your strategy around cornerback. I think this is an area where we differ. I like your opinion of continuing to dip there. The Niners have not done that consistently, right? If they had followed your strategy for years, the cupboard would be full, so to speak. You would have some misses, you would have some hits, but the cupboard would be stocked a bit more than it is at this point. Because they have not pursued your strategy in years past, I would argue that that's a position I believe you bring in a veteran, because I don't think the 49ers can afford to miss. I think if they use a second round pick on a cornerback who ends up being a bust, that would be too big of a risk in their part. I would rather address cornerback with a mid-level veteran. You already have 2 younger, more promising cornerbacks in Ambry Thomas and Emmanuel Mosley. To me, bringing in a savvy veteran presence there in the cornerback room, that one makes sense to me.
That's fine. I guess if you're looking for a solid corner, you can get those on the free agent market. If you're looking for someone who can hold his own against Cooper Kupp, who you got to face 2, maybe 3 times a year, you should probably draft that guy. Yeah. But then again, if you're drafting him with the 61st pick, it's probably too late.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're rolling the dice.
Already too late. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. And the thing about drafting corners, I feel like you have to do it, but it's a tough position to draft. You can definitely get busts there. It's hard. I feel like the best draft prognosticators every year often get wrong which corner's the best. A lot of times the first corner off the board isn't the best corner. And
Right.
it's the third or the fourth. Like Trevon Diggs was a second round pick. And I'm just saying. So yeah, you can definitely, it's an easy position to miss on.
Another interesting one is offensive line, because you brought it up. I mean, that is certainly a need. The Niners will need to address their offensive line depth, whether they choose to bring back some of their own players or whether they fill those spots through the draft or free agency. You bring up an interesting point that the 49ers do not have a track record of developing young offensive linemen. Yeah. So should they waste any more valuable early draft picks on them, or do they focus on signing their own guys back and then going into free agency and getting some of those veterans or some of the cast-offs like Laken Tomlinson, where they had that pedigree of being a first-round pick but just didn't work out in their current scenario?
I think there's a big difference between playing offensive line in college football and offensive line in the NFL, and it requires a big learning curve and a really good position coach that the Niners don't seem to have. So other teams can draft offensive line. I think the Niners probably shouldn't. They should just look for offensive linemen who are being cast off for no good reason and pounce. That's what they should probably do. It's probably, I mean, you'd rather draft them. It's a very important position. And but this is the team that drafted Mike McGlinchey instead of Colton Miller.
Right.
Colton Miller's really good. Mike McGlinchey isn't. So, yeah.
To me, I go back to speed edge rusher. Those seem to be something where if you're going to try and get a speed edge rusher as a free agent, you're going to pay a premium.
Yep.
But because of the fact that people are looking for every down players as an edge rusher, and those are the guys that are targeted very early in the draft, it allows for some of those speed guys more in the D4 mold to fall a little bit deeper into the draft. So again, that'd be my top target.
That's cool. I'm not saying the Niners should like stay away from premium edge rushers. Like Nick Bosa is very helpful, and Chris Kosarick adds around him. But a lot of what the Niners do is just having Bosa. But that being said, like don't do the D Ford thing ever again. Don't make a big investment on someone who's kind of injured, or don't ever do that because you don't have to. Right? Samson Ebukam's some guy who was never even a pass rusher on the Rams, and by the end of the season, he was a threat. He was a force. So if you find someone that's, really good and probably still a little bit of a bargain considering what you're paying, do it. But don't trade a second round pick for the right to give the next D4 to 5-year, $85 million. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
But what I would say, given what you just laid out there, do invest some of those mid-round picks in the very raw pass rushing talents that are in the draft, because you do have a position coach that can coach those guys up. Become a defensive line freaking factory.
Yeah, if there's some like 5-star recruit who went to LSU and had a good year, but then kind of fell off, kind of like Arden Key, and is there in the third round, that's the kind of guy that Chris Kosarick can get back on track. How many primetime games do you think we get? 7, 4,
Ooh.
6.5. I don't know.
I'll go 6. I'll take 6.
6.
That's going to be a lot, but the Niners deserve it.
All right. Grant looks like he wants to look like porn star Jimmy. LOL. Maybe Jimmy wants to look like me. Jimmy, when he came here, he had the little beard, but then he went to the sexy stubble. I'm just saying. I've been rocking this since 08. 08. Not 07. 07, I had the chin strap. It was a bad time. Well, that's the show. It's been a Mondo show. Are you streaming again today?
Yeah, I will be on my channel at 3 p.m. with Jack Hammer. We will be going even further in depth on these topics on my show. So you want to continue the dialogue? You want to continue going down the rabbit hole? Then head on over to Rob Schuh's channel and watch Rob Schuh and Jack Hammer.
That's right. He just went third person. Grant Cohn signing out. I'm going third person too. We make the rules here. We make the rules because we are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next time. Have a great Friday.